Hi, friends. Can you hear me?
I got you now. You can hear me okay?
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I did 7 hours of recording yesterday, so apparently my mic was not wanting to participate today.
It's tired. It's tired.
It's tired. I'm tired
Getting
with
into
it.
that HRV balance.
Oh, yeah. Which is wild because my HRV says she's balanced, so that makes no sense, homie. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing so good. Are we also doing this on Instagram?
We're live on Instagram and YouTube today for the first time.
Okay, so how do you want me? Do you want me to jump on my phone live too, or how's this working?
Well, we got the chat here, so
Perfect.
that piece I'm not fully sure about, but I
Okay.
think we should be able to see chat come through. But if you want to keep an eye on your phone, maybe if you see
Okay.
people on there asking questions,
Cool.
just in case. But yeah, I think we're good to go.
Cool beans. Let's do it. This one's gonna be a
Let's
fun
do
one.
it. Yeah, welcome back, everybody. The weekly health report, where we dive into the top three trends in search history last week, break it down, do the research so you don't have to.
It's
I am
exciting.
Brett from Good Livin. This is Kelsey, partner of mine, as well as doing amazing things with her. Everything she's got going on with the Kelsey Sheeran perspective.
Oh, so many things. All of the things. Slightly out of
Oh,
slightly out of the realm of the trend reports, but definitely trend reports, just on different subjects. We'll go with that.
that's why we're here, to see both sides, the balance. It's all
The
good. We got a good one
balance.
today, though. So the balance. It's all about the balance. That's a big theme today.
Yeah.
So top three, sleep health. Sleep, another big one coming up here in January. Functional eating and food as medicine.
Love it.
And then trust in health information. A lot of people starting to ask questions, what should I be paying attention to? What YouTube, Google, AI, is AI reliable? All that kind of good stuff. So we'll
Nice.
kick it off with the sleep health. A lot of people searching, why am I exhausted but can't sleep? Insomnia but still tired, sleep apnea with snoring, and why is my HRV always low? And I love this that the HRV thing came up.
Hmm. Well, that was kind of one of those conversations we were having a little while ago where we were discussing wearable devices and whether they make people anxious or whether they're beneficial for individuals. And I think at the root of things, if you can manage the idea of steps and something, following along with your day, I think that's one thing. But if it becomes too much, I always suggest moving to something like I prefer the Aura Ring. I don't love the company, but I do love that I don't see the data on my wrist all the time. So it takes the anxiousness out of it, but it still allows the HRV and the sleep to be tracked, which to me, like I said, is important. That or a Whoop device is also a great one too, because like I said, it's still going to track your sleep and your HRV, which is good. I like this question too around why am I exhausted but can't sleep? And I think that really comes down to cortisol levels most of the time and people's habits leading up to bed, the few hours into bed, and the caffeine that they're ingesting throughout the day. That's why I like our electrolytes midday instead of a caffeine supplement, just because you're not going to have that hangover from caffeine and that you might actually start getting some sleep. And to avoid things like, melatonin, that's probably one of the best ways that I would suggest people start with that.
Yeah, definitely, right. And I love how it kind of all comes together because I think that's what people are really starting to realize is this kick the can down the road approach that we've been previously taking in health. And I think that, it honestly includes melatonin too, right?
Of
Like
course.
when it all ties in together from when we wake up, our gut health to how we respond during the day, and then how these all flow together. It's all connected. So I think people are starting to realize that even if I'm getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, but I'm still feeling tired, like you're not getting that deep recovery rest.
Yeah, the quality sleep. Well, and that's with the insomnia and why am I still tired? Well, again, it comes down to, at least for me and my clients, and what I see is habits. Habits throughout the day, the last 4 hours before bed. If you're a person who works later, and I understand that, I like to write at night. I don't like to write during the day. I don't just wear blue light glasses, I wear orange lenses because it helps with your circadian rhythm and it helps turn your natural melatonin production on rather than relying on a supplement to do that. And they're just like the orange ones you can get on Amazon. They don't have to be anything fancy, $20, and you pop them on a few hours before bed, and then make a pretty significant difference in how your hormones start to balance and you start to get that fatigue all on its own. Insomnia is
Love that.
something that I think most people nowadays struggle with. Just frankly, again, it comes down to your habits and your screen time. We're not designed to be in all of these lights all of the time, right? We're supposed to start lowering them down at night much earlier than most people are used to.
Yeah, totally. And that screen time thing, I know for me, like even like funny coincidence, but last night getting some, it's Chinese New Year coming up, so with packaging and stuff, we're trying to get final orders in and stuff like that. So I'm up late talking with one of my guys and you know, then I pop out of bed at like 10:30 to go do something and then, you know, I had to wake Jay up and it hurt her sleep and then getting on the screens. It takes so long to just come back down again. And I think that's what we don't realize. We think we can just go from the screen and then, but your come back down time to get back into that rhythm takes a while. So then you're taking that hour and we think we can't sleep, but it's like just systems just coming down.
Yeah.
Did you this thing with HRV is I really love this and I wanted to dive into this a little bit because I think a lot of us talk about HRV like we know what it is, but we don't really fully understand what it is.
Right.
Have you with the veterans, did you guys do any work with HeartMath
We did.
Institute?
I know that they do have some up towards where you guys live, where they do a little bit of that work at one of the clinics. But when we're doing, you know, I try to remind people that whether it's an uncomfortable reality or not, Canada doesn't treat veterans when it comes to health issues that are in depth. They'll give you psychiatry, and you're lucky if you get that. And then, unless you've literally lost a limb overseas, your chances of getting like in-depth treatment are pretty minimal. So when I was in Texas doing brain treatment, we took a little look at some of that and how it was really working with our hormones and our HRV around our hormone balances. And it was interesting, once we kind of got a lot of the symptoms that were caused by traumatic brain injury under control, the HRV started to naturally balance itself out. But it was just the brain working overtime for us that we were seeing in our nervous systems that were just kind of, we had super high heart rates, resting heart rates. I think at the time when I went, my resting heart rate was almost 87 to 89. So,
Wow.
and that's standard. That was super standard for what we were seeing with head injury. So it's not a surprise to me. But no, up here we don't do a lot of work around HRV.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, because it's the HeartMath Institute, for those who want to check it out. They have some great research behind it, as well as they've really focused on using the heart rate in response with the nervous system. You start to think of that nervous system as like you're training it, just like any muscle, right? Like so like getting into like what HRV is real quick. It's not the heart rate, right? Like it's how fast your heart beats in that time in between. So when that's like changing, like I love these car analogies with the body because I just see the body like
So similar.
performance thing, right? But so I was playing around with chat this morning and like how could we like talk about this where it really makes sense? And I really love this analogy because like the HRV is like the suspension of the car, right? Like a high HRV, you got good suspension. You can adapt smoothly to bumps on the road. A low HRV is more like that stiff suspension. Every bump on the road kind of shakes your system. You get these emotional responses. You kind of throws you off. And then that attaches so much to our nervous system, right? So you have the autonomic nervous system, which is your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. But that sympathetic is that gas pedal, right? That's when we're turning it on. That's like our stress, our pressure, survival mode. So it's a good thing, but it's like that's when we're putting on the gas. And your parasympathetic is like your brake. That's pulling the car back down, right? And that's when we're in like rest. That's when we're calm, we're safe. HRV is coming down, or sorry,
HRV is going
coming
up.
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
HRV is coming up because that's where it gets kind of thing because we kind of get lost in that like. But with our hearts going, that
Yeah.
HRV is low, there's less in between.
Right.
That's when the body's in balance. That's when we're actually starting to recover. So if we think of that during the day, like you mentioned, right? Like if we don't have that training with the nervous system and we're always at that low HRV and we're always in that survival mode, it's really hard for the system to come back down because it's always thinking it has to be in that. So we almost have to start to train that, and that happens through the mind, that happens through the brain, like you mentioned, like figuring out positive ways, the breath techniques, those types of things. But I think it's a cool way to look at it because it's not looking at either as bad or good. It's just like this is the operating system. How do I start to learn how to work it better, right?
Yeah, and I think, our vestibular system, which is our eyes, and our vestibular system is going to give us basically that standpoint from how our brain and our body perceive where we are in time and space. And so when you are able to work with your eyes and really settle your eyes in a good place, and I know most people think, well, what do you mean my eyes? And it's just like I said, it's where your eyes are the window to the soul, Brett. But they're also they're also your brain on the outside of your body. And the thing about them is when they are out of whack, meaning if you start to feel nausea in the car, you're getting vertigo, these types of things, those aren't normal. So for anybody to say, oh no, I just have vertigo, that's actually not a normal thing. You don't just have vertigo. It's not just a part of your life. It means you're, sorry, I'm so sick of that statement, is, oh no, I just have vertigo. I've had it my whole life.
Say that, so that's great.
Oh my God. Oh, I hear it all the time. No, it's fine. It's like most women just have vertigo because they just like, it's like our chemical imbalance. It's like, no, that's called POTS, and that's a different conversation. But the vestibular system, if you're having car sickness, and I don't mean because you've been staring at your phone and looking up at the car moving around, that will naturally cause your eyes to feel wonky. But if you just have genuine, just from movement, or all of a sudden you're sitting there and you feel like your brain gears down and like moves, that's because your eyes, your vestibular system, are out of whack. And so there's a lot of different eye exercises you can do. But once you do that, your HRV will help you balance because your nervous system isn't so heightened trying to read where you are in time and space rapidly. So it actually causes your HRV to be worse and your heart rate to go up because it's a stressor on the brain. And so that's why when we say we work with our eyes, I'm not kidding. If you work with your eyes, it can help because you're not supposed to be unbalanced on one leg. You're not supposed to feel wonky on one leg, and you're not supposed to feel nauseous in a car. That tells me that your eyes are off, and that will, if corrected, help your HRV significantly, which will downgrade your nervous system into the parasympathetic. And then when you couple those with just slower breathing, mindful breathing, even if it's a couple times throughout the day, you don't have to stop doing what you're doing, but just mindful breathing, just slower in, slower out, it will naturally start to improve your HRV and you'll go into that rest and digest without even realizing you're doing it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So what is there any simple kind of tactics? Like how would someone apply some of these eye techniques during the day?
Yeah, so it's really silly, but you gotta, I know this is something I learned with some of the best brain specialists in the world. So you need to, again, I have to preface that the Resiliency Brain Health Clinic in Coppell, Texas are no joke. And when they did this, I laughed in their face too. So it's fine. So if you don't have a tongue depressor with a cute little duck stick like they give you to take home with you, because they're cute like that, they give you a whole little thing. There's a couple things you can do. So before on one of our episodes, we discussed breathing techniques and ways to calm your vagus nerve that goes right down your throat along your vocal cords. And one of the best things that you can do, again, science, man, is you're going to take
Love how it's simple.
I know well, because in brain treatment, when you're teaching a bunch of crayon eating knuckleheads, which are Navy SEALs, Delta operators, Rangers, Marines, and military members, that's their words, not mine, you have to make it simple. Right? It's like military terms. Keep it stupid simple. Simple is the way to keep yourself alive. So you grab a pen, okay? Or if you have tattoos on your fingers or nail polish, that's always a good one to go with too. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to do two things at once. And if it's too much at once, we can slip to one, but there's basic and advanced. They're both very simple. You're going to put your arm's length out in front of you like so, okay? And then you're going to find a focus point on the tip of the pen. So whether that's the actual tip of the pen or there's some writing on the pen, that's fine. And then you're going to very simply, not exaggerating, you're going to hum at the same time you do this. So what you want to do is you want to focus at the tip of the pen, and then you're going to do what we call yeses and nos as you hum. And it's going to look like this. And you're going to do this 10 times. And then the key to this, though, is if your eyes deviate even for a second, close them. Because what's
Ah,
happening in that second is your brain is actually rewiring and refiring your vestibular system. So you don't want it to go like this. You want it, okay, oh, close. And then you're going to restart. So you're going to do yeses and nos for 10, and then you're going to close, and then you're going to do your side to sides. Mm, and keeping focus on that piece there. Now, that's doing two things for you. That's going to help settle your eyes and your nervous system, and it's going to help you focus and reset so that hopefully at that point, the vertigo and that boat feeling and swaying will stop. And then the humming will calm the nervous system and bring you into the parasympathetic, where your brain can actually receive the information and help rewire the frontal lobe. Now, if your vertigo is really bad, I suggest doing that a couple more times for rounds and remembering that any point if your eyes deviate, close them and then reset and do it again. 10 up, 10 back, reset. And if you're still kind of feeling it, open and then same pattern again.
okay, cool. So yes for 10, no for 10, and
Yeah,
close your
so
eyes if you
yeses and
deviate.
nos and your backs and forths. 10, 10, reset. And if you're still feeling it, again. And then always a focal point though. You have to have a focal point. It has to be an arm's distance and you want to keep it at shoulder height.
Love that. That's a fantastic
Yeah.
trick. So
Especially for
good.
screens. If your eyes start to get wonky, give that one a shot. It will really help your nervous system too.
Cool, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that. Amazing.
Small things.
Okay,
Yeah.
small things. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, functional eating. And it's the
Yes.
food medicine, and it's the Gen Z and the millennials. Bringing it back.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it
Bringing it
never left,
back.
but at the
Yeah.
same time, whatever it takes.
Yeah, it's true. No, you couldn't be more right. It's never left. We just forgot. Oh,
So
goodness.
yeah, so this is an interesting one though, right? I think it's
Mm-hmm.
fascinating that where we're at as a society, what's kind of all this stuff going on. We're seeing this, like we've talked about in a few other episodes, this return to the mean a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And with what's going on in the U.S. and changing the food pyramid and breaking off of WHO and all the wild things happening, a
Hmm.
lot of this is kind of going towards like food as medicine, functional nutrition, what we're all about, eating for gut health, anti-inflammatory foods,
Hmm.
nutrition for mood and energy. These are starting to be the main things people are asking about. So it's definitely in the mind. Like people are thinking like, okay, there's more than meets the eye to this, and it's like we can't just trust. I think that's the big part, right? Like the trust has been broken as far as the
Yeah.
food system,
I feel like
which
it's
I
been
think
broken in a lot of ways.
it's teaching people to and teaching all of us that we got to eat for ourselves. We got to figure that out on our own. We can't just have someone spurt this diet at us and assume it's going to work. Like we got to figure out what works for us and yeah, these the diets are can be good for periods of time, but it's not a long-term solution again, right? Where the whole food eating, that's a foundational piece.
Well, and speaking of the HRV and speaking of your nervous system and how it processes and all of these things, one of the best things you can do is finding out your blood type. And there is an incredible book called, I think it's called like How to Eat for Your Blood Type. I'm not exaggerating. It's like, it's a hilarious book. It's just all the different blood types and it tells you the diets that should, based on your just makeup of and how your blood works, should work best with your blood type. And that will also help with the anti-inflammatory as well, because those are the types of foods that process best with you. And that will also help calm your body because it's not fighting inflammation all of the time. Because that's the one thing we've learned a lot about head injury and stress disorders and even mental health disorders, car accidents, things like that. We talked about Keanu the other day, yesterday. It was a young man who died by MAID at 26, but he had a first onset of depression through a head injury, through a car accident. But people don't understand what to do after a head injury. And so one of the best things you can do is looking at your blood type for anti-inflammatory foods that are going to keep your brain the clearest. And that's really where the food is medicine conversation comes in. When you know what works best with your biological makeup, whether that's through where you're born and your heritage and then your blood type. Those are big ones to look at. And then obviously just watching how you respond, right? You might not feel great after you drink milk, but you might feel fine if you go drink, I don't know, like I don't love all the milk substitutes, but maybe almond milk because it's not a animal byproduct that maybe doesn't sit well with your gut biome.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you know, you can start to, what's really nice about it too is you can really design it for where you're at. If you're having issues with digestion, if you're having issues sometimes too, right? If sleep and nervous system are a big piece, like that's major nutrients. That's what we focus on with our blends for supporting the nervous system, and it's getting those nutrients. And ours are in more condensed ways, but it's getting those nutrients. So whether you're bringing in a supplement, but still focusing first on food, like just a simple kind of search on what's those main things and how can I create a whole food diet around that. And there's some really good information. And if we can't get it, we don't know our blood type right away or whatever, right? But I think too, what people talk about, like, how do I know what's whole foods? How do I know where it's coming from? That kind of thing. That's obviously the biggest kind of pinch point, as it is hard to know.
Yeah. I say stay away from boxes. If you shop on the outside of your grocery store, you're probably going to be safer than shopping on the inside of your grocery store. So that's normally your meat, your vegetables, your grains, all the way on the outside is going to be those kind of foods. And on the inside is more your processed based. And then that's normally, again, these are things that they literally teach us. We shop outside, we don't shop inside. And it's silly, but then also just taking a look, like you can't, if you don't know your blood type, really basics off the top that are going to set your day up for success. You know, an electrolyte in the morning, a bone broth if you can get one into you. Heavy fats and proteins are going to help regulate your blood sugar so that you're not going to crave the sugar throughout the day, that 2 p.m. slump. And then if you're still feeling fatigue in the afternoon, that's where I like it's our turbo, I think, the one I drink in the afternoon, because it just gives that boost so that I don't feel like as depleted cognitively. And then, you know, always looking at like not waiting until you're starving. Like, don't wait until your blood sugar has already crashed. And when people say, well, what does it feel like when your blood sugar crashes? You literally, if you pay attention, will feel your body like gear down, and you'll go, oh, like that's actually your blood going, I need glucose, I need ketones, I need salt, I need magnesium, I need these things. And if you can get to that before, you're not going to have that yo-yo effect. And it takes time to find what works for you. If you're not a breakfast person, that's why I do bone broth. If you're somebody who you do want to eat, but not a lot, I do half an avocado, because then you're just getting the heavy fats. And that's the stuff really that you're feeding the brain. And when you feed this well, everything else will function with it just fine.
Yeah, totally. And that whole like gut brain connection, and even just something simple like boiled eggs, you know?
Yeah.
More and more people, I think, are starting to get chickens and stuff
Yeah.
locally, so it's easier to find. Just like search or take a drive around your kind of country area. You usually see signs of people who are just selling eggs on the side of the street for $5. And not only are you supporting someone, but you're getting them cheaper and you're getting them better.
And also, you're prepping.
Real easy stuff.
Yeah, like just do it the night before. Boil 4 eggs the night before. And that's what I like to do. I leave them in the fridge in the morning. And then if I'm like really, really struggling for time, I'll just grab a couple, put some salt and pepper on them, pop them in. And then if I need some more protein and after lunch, if I didn't eat enough or I recorded too much, I'll go take those as well. So it's just kind of, I think people forget that if you just take 2.5 seconds throughout the week to kind of just give yourself the proper preparation, right? You prepare properly, you're not going to fail. It's when you don't have anything, now you got to cook, now you got to take something out of the freezer, and then people go, oh, whatever, I'll just go have some crackers, or I'll go just have something that's not going to really give them any sort of nutrients. I think those ones are going to be your biggest things. Preparation always helps.
Totally. And those little hacks are so good, right? Like,
yeah.
I do the boiled eggs, or I cook a bunch of chicken breasts on the barbecue, because when you get those little times where you want to snack, that's usually when we're going for the processed things or the easy things, you know, like nuts, cashews, dried fruit, whatever. But like, I find those proteins, like the eggs and the chicken, just to be the one that hits the spot, gives me the energy, makes me feel good, supports everything I'm doing. Like, those are those real easy kind of proteins that seem to really help during the during the day.
And ground beef really keeps well. I'm a big fan of whether you do ground turkey, ground beef, ground chicken, whichever is your protein. I'm more of a beef person, and I do ground beef, and I'll leave it in there, and then I'll just cut up some cucumbers and tomatoes and onions and toss it in there, put a little hot sauce and mix that up. It's like the most consistent. It's so simple, but it's like, damn it, it's so satisfying. It's so satisfying. It makes me so happy every day.
It is, and it starts to break the chain of the reaction too in the body,
Yes.
because I think sometimes when we're reaching for processed sugars or these types of things, like the body's just like that quick hit, so then it gives us that signal. But if we break it with some of these things, it happens so fast and it's so simple. And if we're learning anything today, I think it's simplicity, man. Like it's just simplify before you quantify. Like it's if things are feeling bumpy or sleep is rough, just fucking bring it to the bones, simplify, get these things, really easy tactics, don't overwhelm it, and just start with these little bits, like add the eggs, then start kind of shifting other things, and it really starts to compile quick.
And it doesn't have to be an overwhelming thing. That's why I'm glad you said about it being quick. It doesn't have to be this overwhelming, I need to shift everything at once. That is the sure, fast, fire way to fail at what you're trying to do, get frustrated, and then to drop off. That's what it's like. So tomorrow or tonight, just boil 2 extra eggs, pop them in the fridge before you go to bed, and see how you do with that. And if you can get that going, great. And then also what I like to do, because I'm like a weird wake up, I don't like to take stuff out in the morning. Like before I go to bed, my kitchen is ready for the next morning. I've got the toaster out for Jack. I've got his lunch already made. Everything's done. So I just walk down half asleep and I push this down. I turn the blender on. I just hit all the buttons and then I stand there. And it makes such a difference though, because it doesn't feel like a task. And I do that with my stuff too. I'll already have a cup with the scoop of our electrolyte already sitting there. So all I got to do is just put the water in it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to grab it. I already have my vitamins laid out for the day. I know that's not everybody's tactic, but I try to make it as easy as possible for the next day so there isn't an excuse.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's a great way too in the evening time to put the device away,
Yes.
make it this meditative experience and just wind down the system by prepping for the day, right? Like rather than scrolling on
Intentionality,
Instagram.
man.
Yeah, the little pieces. All right, so trust. Health information. Where do we get our answers, Kelsey? Where do we get them?
Where do we get them? This has been the bane of my existence since 2009, and I got to tell you, it took me till 2020 to get it together. So I understand. I wish I was kidding. A couple things I always suggest, if you can, the majority, if you are Canadian, you're listening, there is you can go to your naturopath, you can go to a walk-in clinic, you can go to your family doctor and just ask for a basic blood test. It's free. You don't have to add on the expensive stuff. They don't. You have to add. If you want to see your vitamin D, you got to get more. If you want to see your certain hormones, you have to get more. But the reason I'm saying that is if you can, and you pop that thing into Inside Tracker, then it will show you where you're low on everything. And it won't just like tell you, it'll show you in a chart and it'll show you which natural foods to start integrating in. So that'll help with that. And if you don't, or you can't do that, or you're just not here for that, then just start low and slow. I never suggest a GP because they only get 1 day of nutrition, health, and university. I always look to more if you're really working on your diet and your nutrition, to go to a nutritionist or a naturopath. And then if you can't get access to any of them, the internet is a beautiful thing. You just don't take it as God and as your doctor. And technology is getting better and better and better, but always cross-reference as much as you can before you start going, all of a sudden, all I'm doing is eating vegetables, or all I'm doing is eating meat. It might not work for you. So that's the steps that I take. And when it comes to things like YouTube, there's a lot of really great people. There's an extreme side of things in the more biohacky community, your Brian Johnsons, your Ben Greenfields. But then there's some other people who are more just, nutritionists and doctors who are just trying to inform people so they can give more data out in a healthy manner. You have to decide which lane you want to go down or which ones you want to mix it with. But I think the internet's a great tool. We just don't take it all as God.
Yeah, and I love that bit. Thank you. That's amazing information. And I think what's really interesting about this is that we're slowly, whether we realize it or not, we're starting to realize that you can't take it all as gospel. Again, it's not a one size fits all model. The other thing, we still understand so little about health as a total whole. Like, so where everybody's learning and growing, there's new studies coming out, everyone's trying to evolve and find things that works, and it's amazing where we've come, it's amazing where we're at. But there's people are going to have certain opinions about certain things because of the way they've seen it in their practice or the way it's affected their lives. Yours may be different. So it's starting to, again, to break this kind of this time period of like, just, oh, the doctor will tell me what to do,
Right.
to starting to think for ourselves, right? And starting to think for ourselves and like, who do I resonate with? Why do I like what this guy's saying? Maybe I'll listen to someone that I don't necessarily like just to hear what they've got to say, come together to with my own opinion or my own thing I'm going to try for myself. Did it work? Did it not? Right? And really start just kind of starting to think for ourselves. What works with us? What works with our daily routines? What works for us right now? That might not work for us in the future. So
Right.
starting to really kind of change the mindset around what preventative health is, because I think that's the big key here that we're slowly inching towards of tuning into.
Well, and what's really cool too about one of our electrolytes is, especially with women, after the age of 30, you start to lose muscle pretty rapidly. Hormone changes start, late 30s, early 40s, you start to go through those massive swings, either perimenopause or you've had a hysterectomy or you've gone through these. And when you're looking at how to feel better, it's always important to look at your hormones, men and women, especially with women with, it's called free testosterone. Yes, women, we have testosterone. We actually have a significant number in testosterone. Most people do not realize it's not just estrogen, but we also have testosterone. Same with men. Seeing this a lot right now with men, whether that's depression levels, low libido, sex drive, things like that. Those a lot of times come from just low T numbers, low testosterone numbers, understanding your hormones. And so when it comes to food, there's tons of foods you guys can do to balance those things out, but there's also other supplements you can look into. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because you could be doing everything right and still not sleeping right, still having a low libido, still struggling with energy, and you think there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. We just haven't been educated enough on the imbalances of how our bodies work as we either age or we have things like head injury or we just have diet and big shifts in our lifestyle and how those affect us. So there's a ton of different awesome information though on YouTube about these things where don't be shy, talk about it. If you're struggling with something in your health, that's what Google is for. Google's not going to judge you. It's the people on the other side of Google that are going to judge you. But we're not worried about them. We're worried about, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you want to figure something out, and then that maybe will give you some ideas, some questions to prompt either your doctor, your specialist, or your naturopath with, so that you don't go in blind. You can use it as a tool, right? It's like the old saying, like Rogan used to say, you can build a house with a hammer, or you can hit yourself in the dick with it. Use it accordingly, take it, and then go see another person to cross-reference and see how you could benefit your life better. So that's what's cool about the internet. There's goods and bad things, but I think at the end of the day, intent matters. Are they trying to sell you something? Are they trying to help you? Are you trying to mimic their lifestyle? Is it realistic for you? Just be honest with yourself. And I think that's what these things are for. Just use them like tools.
Totally. Very well said. I think, that's it in a nutshell. And as we do that too, it gets exciting because you're starting to understand it deeper. You get to know yourself better. You understand what works. You have a deeper connection with your body. This all rolls into your HRV, into your sleep, that type of thing. And it's about that balance, man. And discovering what works for you. So
don't get frustrated. Be patient with it. It's a process.
Yeah. It's a process. And the sleep is the one that is, keeps coming up, and that is definitely a key, but it does tie into everything. So as we start to, just inch our way, and we're always here for questions too. It doesn't always have to be about the mushrooms or the supplements or whatever. Like if we like those types of questions here on the show, that's why we're doing this too.
And I think what's cool about what this is gives people an opportunity to ask questions, to not only just, and whether it is about the mushrooms and how they can couple it with what they're doing, whether it's about the electrolytes and how they can improve their health with that, whether it's about using a different electrolyte or whatever. It doesn't matter. What at the end of the day, what we want is we want healthy people, we want clear thoughts, clear minds, and we want people connected to their bodies. I don't care about if you follow, the Brian Johnson $2 million diet. I care, are you connected to your mind and your body? Can you hear it talk? Does it feel good? Or does it feel like you're a rusty spoon who needs to be oiled all the time? There's ways we can improve your life, but you have to let us know what you need so that we can help drive that conversation, hopefully to give you the tools around sleep, around information, around food, whatever it may be the topic that week. But either way, we are here to help support the people in the community.
I love that. And that's why we started this thing, right?
Yeah, man.
Genuinely believe as we do that, as we connect with these processes and how our body works, this reflects in how we look at the world, how we show up, and all this stuff going on. If we simplify it just to this, we make change, man. One by one, it changes.
Basics.
So
Gotta go back to the basics. Thing.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That's the best. Well, thank you. Thank you. Another great show. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I feel like we may have had some technical difficulties and this didn't go live on Instagram, but if not, it will be uploaded and you'll be hearing me talk about it right now. So next week we will be live and we'll figure it out. We'll keep figuring it out.
We're going to get there. It just takes time. See, we just got to start. That's all it takes.
Step by step. Yeah. Don't know what the hell happened, but worked in the test last night, not this morning. I don't know.
It's always the way it works, man. I get it. I get it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.
All right, dude. See you later, guys.
Peace.